What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at MLB LINSANITY Runs last season. Without further ado, let's get into the video, but first please like and subscribe. Matt Chapman has been brought to each of his teams and valued so highly because of his ability to affect the game with his glove while providing serviceable offense. The guy has 4 gold gloves and 2 platinum gloves in his 8-year career, and he's also led the league in D-WAR 2 times. In 2022, he played okay for the Blue Jays after they signed him to a 2-year, $25 million deal. He slashed a decent 229, 324, 433, which was technically better than his 21 season, but still not playing to his expectations. He must have been one angry boy because he came out of spring training scorching hot in 2023. In March and April, Chapman was one of the best hitters in baseball. I say one of because there's one guy we will talk about next I think that deserves that crown. Regardless, Chapman slashed 384, 465, and 687 for a impressive OPS of 1.152. He also had a WRC plus of 216. For reference, that's about the same as Arson Judge's 62 home run MVP season the year before. On top of that, we thought we were seeing a new record for doubles in a season after he amassed 15 in the first 27 games, good enough for a pace of 90. Chapman, unfortunately, could not keep that pace up, and he struggled mightily for the remainder of the season. Even with that start, he only finished with 37 doubles, failing to lead the league and slashing 240, 330, and 424 with a WRC plus of 110, suggesting that even with that insanely hot start, he was only 10% better than the average third baseman in 2023. On to the best hitter in baseball. Through the first month of the season, Rooker was a bright spot on one of the worst baseball teams in recent memory. The team finished with just 50 wins and setting countless records you don't want your team to be setting. Rooker didn't have any expectations heading into 2023, really. He had just 16 games for Kansas City in 2022 where he had an OPS of just 379. Before that, just being a serviceable role player in a crowded Twins outfield that didn't quite have space for him, he had really never shown that he could deliver at the plate until he stepped up to the dish in 2023. Through April, the A's started 6-23, but it wasn't because they couldn't get the bats going. Brent Rooker was the MVP through the month of April in the American League. He may have lost the Player of the Month to Chapman, but there's no denying that Rooker had been more productive. Rooker slashed an immaculate 353, 465, 779, good for an OPS of 1245. And at the time, leading the league, even over Chapman. Rooker posted a WRC plus of 232. Putting that into perspective, a 232 would be equivalent to the 2004 season of none other than Barry Bonds, which will go down as one of the most impressive offensive performances in MLB history. The point is, Rooker was Barry Bonds for the month of April, and the A's still couldn't win games. One of the more underrated signings of the offseason heading into the 2023 season was Luis Arraez. Not a flashy player by any means because he doesn't hit 50 home runs with 200 strikeouts like fans seem to enjoy. Luis Arraez seems to be the second coming of Tony Gwynn. Just not quite to his level, but during most of 2023 he was. A traditional contact hitter is rare these days. Arraez is the face of that contact hitting now. He doesn't strike out. He just gets his bat on the ball and rarely hits home runs. Other guys that fall into that kind of category, Nico Horner, Whit Merrifield, Stephen Kwan, Jeff McNeil. Unfortunately, it just isn't as exciting to watch these guys play the way the game has developed today. But Arraez sure made it interesting in 2023. There was a legitimate chance we could have seen a 400 average season for the first time since 1948 when Artie Nelson and Willard Brown did it. Arraez was carrying a 400 average into the 81st game of the season, and this made him the most realistic contender since Tony Gwynn in 1994 when he hit 394. His first half was truly remarkable. You can even call it linsane. If it hadn't been for a poor August where he only hit 236, he may have had a shot. Regardless, excluding August, Arraez hit a 380 average, just falling short of that 400 mark. But a 380 average is no small feat. Since Artie and Willard, the only 380 seasons were Ted Williams, Rod Carew, George Brett, and of course, Tony Gwynn. It truly is a shame that Arraez struggled so mightily in August. Even still, we haven't seen a 350 season since Josh Hamilton's magical 2010 season. Some other impressive feats that Arraez hit last year were his multi-hit performances. He had 7 4-hit games and 3 5-hit games, and on top of that, He only struck out 34 times in 617 plate appearances, giving him a K rate of 5.4%. Putting that into perspective today, the next closest qualified batter was Jeff McNeil, who was comfortably over 10%, striking out almost twice as much as Luis Arias. The NL Cy Young winner himself, Blake Snell. Snell got off to a very cold start, and fans immediately speculated that he was washed, as he had yet to return to his dominance that he displayed in 2018 when he won his first Cy Young with a solid 1.89 ERA and 2.17 ERA+. Now, ERA plus is a stat that adjusts the ERA for league averages, 100 being average, 150 signifying that you are 50% better than the average, and in Snell's case, 2018 signified he was 117% better than the average starter. Snell had struggled to get back to that average ERA plus after 2018, posting 103, 127, 92, and 112 in succeeding seasons. Now, Snell was sitting at a below average 5.4 ERA after a rough start against the Red Sox, where he only made it through 4 innings and surrendered 6 runs, powered by a 2-home run day by Rafael Devers. He raised his OPS against to 916 and his whip to a whopping 1.87. This was Snell's turning point. After that start, something clicked for Snell and he turned into his old self. From that point on, Snell threw for an ERA of a 1.20 with an OPS against of 489 and a whip of 1.07. He actually managed to have these numbers while leading the entire league in walks. That magic ERA plus stat was back to his Cy Young form too. During 2023, he managed to get his ERA plus back up to an 185 after his rough start. In his 23 starts after that Red Sox blow-up game, he only gave up runs in 10 starts, and he had scoreless outings in 13, meaning he was more likely to shut out an opponent while pitching than to give up any runs during this time. Snell's 2023 season had to be one of the biggest turnarounds in one season in MLB history for a starting pitcher. He went from a potential bullpen move to a Cy Young overnight. The definition of a LINSANITY run. 2023 also showed the emergence of a young superstar. Bobby Witt Jr. made the opening day roster in 2022 as a prospect with the potential to really display elite levels of all 5 tools: hitting for contact, hitting for power, fielding, throwing, and speed. But he failed to meet those expectations in his rookie campaign, even though he was showing spurts of dominance for the Royals. He slashed a decent 254, 294, 428 with 20 homers and 30 steals, earning himself a WRC plus of 98, meaning he was just 2% less valuable than the average shortstop during 2022. His fielding didn't help, posting a negative 1.60 WAR, earning himself a spot at third for the remainder of August and September. His start to 2023 wasn't super great at the plate, which was slightly alarming. Through June, Witt was slashing 244, 288, 415, and not showing much improvement offensively, although he did step it up big time in the field, posting a positive D-WAR, sitting at .3, which, to be fair, was a 2 difference from 2022 to 2023. Heading into July, Witt turned into a different animal at the plate, finally looking like the potential superstar that everyone knew he had the potential to become. From July 1st until the end of August, Witt slashed 325, 362, and 636 while doubling his double, triple, and home run totals while adding 15 steals and an impressive 164 WRC plus over that span. Perhaps getting overshadowed by the impressive offensive performances of Acuna and Seager, as well as the unicorn Shohei Ohtani, coupled with the fact that Witt was on one of the worst teams in the league, his hot stretch went unnoticed by many. Now, having proven that he can produce at the highest level in the league, the expectations have never been higher for the jaw-dropping talents of Bobby Witt Jr.